amplified hopefully 10 or 100 times over, and it'll be a permanent conversation because everybody here knows that there'll be more technology, there'll be better technology, and with every innovation, become more efficiency, greater accessibility, easier contact at the same line, there'll be greater vulnerability of the internet and everything else. So all of a sudden we enter into the world of big data. And we all know, everybody sitting here, that the amount of information we share both voluntarily and that we surrender almost in a passive way increases every day. We all know that. And we all know that the computing power gets stronger and better and magnifies every day. And we know smart people can design more and more software, more and more algorithms, and take a look at that big data and draw some forensic conclusions about people, places, and things. That's the world. I know my son and daughter in their mid-20s, and they look at me and they wonder how their dad managed to get to be as old as he is without an iPhone, an iPad, without having the internet for the first 40 plus years of his life. But that's the world y'all live in. I said, hey, Dad hadn't done too bad. But yours is a different world. Broadly speaking, the world is dramatically different than it's ever going to be before. So all of a sudden with Snowden, we say to ourselves, yes, we do want to be secure. But what about the surveillance? What about this access to big data? What about my civil liberties? I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there were times, even before the Snowden affair, when the Patriot Act was passed, there was a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people thought that the FBI had a van outside, they had the tapes rolling, they had the earphones on, and they were looking at people's conversation, and they thought it had Ridge's catering on it. And people would come up to me and say, you know, Governor, Mr. Secretary, I don't care if you listen into my conversation. I'm not doing anything wrong. I said, stop. You better care. You better care. There's absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you're doing nothing wrong. It would be wrong for the government to be listening in unless it had probable cause and had due process and had a reason to be listening in. So you don't voluntarily surrender the rights that a couple 100,000 Americans have fought and died for, and millions more have been injured, in order to just surrender these freedoms and liberties to your government. Nuala always reminded us, there is no trade-off. You don't sacrifice one for the other. You've got to figure out a way to preserve them both. I must tell you, last night, this is an anecdote, it may mean nothing to you, it means a lot to me. I was with the West Point Society of Philadelphia. All these graduates, United States Military Academy. Some of them home from Iraq, Afghanistan, some injured. But I got to the point where I started talking a little bit about the world we live in today. About there being guardians of liberty. And I said to them, it is my opinion, now Tom Ridge opinion, that you never, ever, ever sacrifice freedom for security. Probably the longest and most sustained applause I received in the night. Now here are men and women who face the perils of the battlefield. I lost some friends in that problem. It's interesting, after Memorial Day and D-Day we think about that. But those who would fight and die for those freedoms are prepared to say, oh, we might want, don't worry about being inconvenienced, but you leave my freedoms alone and I'm prepared to fight and die for them. I do believe that in the DNA of every American, they generally feel that way, although some may succumb to the notion that, well, we can give up a little liberty in order to be more secure. We're never going to be perfectly secure. We got to get our mind around that. We're never going to live in a fail-safe environment. In terms of the government having a responsibility to find a way to advance our security without infringing our liberties, it's part of your conversation over the next few days. I'll give you another dimension that I find. Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea where it is? Do you have any idea?